The Trey Hendrickson and Shemar Stewart contracts are all anybody can talk about. Even Bengals players are stepping out, calling it out. Welcome back to the Bengals Digest channel. I'm Carson Lokey. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing day. And yes, the only thing everyone can talk about, I guess not the only thing because it's two things, but every time the Bengals are mentioned, whether a Bengals on a show or on our own podcast or anything, it's usually like 9 out of 10 times about Trey Hendrickson's contract or Shemar Stewart's contract. Now, Trey Hendrickson, as we'll go into this, showed up to the rookie mini camp, stepped out, gave his own press conference, and then he missed mandatory practices, and now he's been fined. Shemar Stewart was there for mini camp the first day and then walked away. So now, obviously, these are massive situations the Bengals have to figure out. Me personally, people are picking one side or the other. I think both sides in both situations are handling it the wrong way. I think Trey Hendrickson is handling his contract situation wrongly, and I think the Bengals are handling his contract wrongly. I think Shemar Stewart is handling his contract situation wrongly, and I think the Bengals are handling it wrong at the same time. I don't think anyone's getting it right. And Orlando Brown, who I talked about last video, was on the NFL Network, and he was asked about these contract situations, and he gave his thoughts. So that's what we're going to be jumping into today. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson and Shemar Stewart, the main stories around the Bengals offseason after the Bengals extended Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It's been straight Trey Hendrickson and Shemar Stewart since the draft, and even before the draft, Trey Hendrickson was a massive conversation. And it's still going on, and now we're late June, about to hit July, and we need to get these contracts figured out. And like I said, Orlando Brown Jr. stepped out and was asked about it, and this is what he had to say. So Bengals star Orlando Brown Jr. weighs in on Trey Hendrickson and Shemar Stewart contract situations. Bengals All-Pro defensive end Trey Hendrickson skipped mandatory mini camp earlier this month due to his contract status. The 30-year-old was fined over $104,000 for missing the 3-day camp. He's hoping to sign a long-term deal this season, whether it's with the Bengals or another team, obviously, hopefully with the Bengals. The Bengals selected Shemar Stewart with the 17th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Stewart didn't participate in any of the Bengals offseason program due to contract issues. Will Stewart and Hendrickson be on the field for training camp? Orlando Brown weighs in on both situations with training camp just over 1 month away. This is what Orlando Brown Jr. had to say. We got a very close locker room first and foremost, Brown said on ESPN's NFL Live. Guys have talked to Trey Hendrickson. Guys have talked to Shemar Stewart. Even with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, when they were going through what they were going through, we spoke to them. I mean, ultimately, it's the NFL. It's a business. It's a part of it. These types of things happen. But I would imagine these deals get done hopefully sooner rather than later. Obviously, that is the goal or the hope of every Bengals fan is that these contracts get figured out sooner, much rather than later. Rookies report for training camp on Saturday, July 19th. Veterans report on Tuesday, July 22nd. Will Stewart and Henderson be on the field? That is the question of the offseason for the Bengals as they look to make it back to the playoffs for the first time since 2022. And that's crazy that it's been since 2022 since the Bengals have been in the playoffs. But anyways, yeah, Orlando Brown Jr., that's what he had to say. I agree with what he had to say. I also like the fact that he's being honest, like, hey, yeah, we've talked to them too. Our locker room is extremely tight one. That's also a great thing to hear as a Bengals fan. But him saying, yeah, we talked to Trey Hendrickson, we've talked to Shemar Stewart, we've talked to them about their contract situations, meaning both sides are open to talk about it, meaning the Bengals need to use that advantage of them being open to talk about it and figure out these conversations or figure out these situations like Orlando Brown said sooner rather than later. Because if we're not getting those players signed until like right before that 19th and 22nd report day, then that's them having to not focus on the Bengals for another month and then just jumping right into it. I'd rather than be figured out in like the next week or two, and then they have a month to get into the mind space of, all right, let's go. The season's about to start. Get locked in. Because it's harder. Obviously, I can't say personally because I've never been in a situation, but I would imagine it's a lot harder to get locked into a season when you don't have a contract. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson, yes, he does have under contract for 1 year, but he wants the extension, and that is clouding his head, obviously. Same with Shemar Stewart. Since they don't have something set in stone, it's very hard to focus and put all your energy into preparing for the season if you don't even know if you're going to be playing that season. You know what I'm saying? But if we get these contracts figured out in the next week or two, they have a whole month to get their mindset ready, get their body ready, which I'm assuming they are doing and they should be doing right now. But getting their mind ready, getting their body ready, getting their physicals ready, everything that they need to get ready, they would have a month to get ready before they report for training camp. That's the hope and what the Bengals should be doing. Now for Trey Hendrickson, obviously new reports come out that the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson are officially back in conversations to talk. Shemar Stewart, that is a little bit more of an interesting subject because of how small the Bengals front office is, which is so stupid. How small it is, there's not a lot of people. So I don't know how they operate it. I'm not an insider. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have everybody focusing on one situation, but then once that situation is over, they go to the next situation. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're focused on Trey Hendrickson right now, and once Trey Hendrickson is figured out, they go to Shemar Stewart. I have no idea. I, for one, know both situations should be figured out in the next week or two. 100%. Because then you have a whole month to get these distractions away. Get them away. Because what can the Bengals not do, especially with our schedule this coming season, which is actually a pretty hard schedule? You can't start slow. You cannot start slow, especially week one. You go against the Browns. If we lose week one to the Browns, that's like what happened last year. Week one to the Patriots. That game, we didn't know at the time, but that game ultimately would have decided if we went to the playoffs or not. If we would have beaten the Patriots that week one, we would have been in the playoffs. But since we lost to a team that we should have easily beaten, it affected us all the way to the end of the season where we didn't make the playoffs. Now, week one with the Browns, that's an in-state, in-division rivalry. If you start slow and lose that game week one, that will come back and bite you in the butt at the end of the season, I promise you. Because we're bookend with the Browns. Start and end with the Browns. If you lose that week one, that's going to come to bite you in the butt all the way in the last week where you play them again. Just like the Patriots did last season. At the time, we didn't think, or we're like, all right, the Bengals always start slow. We lose week one, but let's bounce back. And then we lose the next two. Because then we had the Commanders. We didn't know how good they were going to be. We thought that might have been an easier game. Obviously, that turned into a freaking great game. Or was it Chiefs? Was it? Yeah, either way. It was Patriots, Chiefs, Commanders. I'm pretty sure that was the order. But anyways, yeah, Commanders. Yeah, third. So we went from the Patriots, which should have been an easy win, to the Chiefs, which obviously that was going to be a difficult game, and honestly, we should have won that game. And the Commanders, we didn't expect that. No one expected the Commanders to be what they were being, or what they were. That Patriots game, even if we came out of that 3-game stretch, 1 and 2, still losing to the Chiefs and the Commanders, we would have been in the playoffs. So I'm just saying, you never know what those type of games are going to affect down the line. That Patriots game was literally everything for us last season. You win it, you're in. You win it, you're in. You're not. Obviously, we would have had that. We would have needed that 5-game win streak like we did last season. But that Patriots game, that would have solved all the problems and we would have been in the playoffs. So now this Browns game is the exact same. And how do you make sure you don't start slow? Is you don't have distractions leading up to like the final week of training camp before the first week of games. These situations should not be going on that far. Because the Bengals historically and recently, not historically, but recently with Zach Taylor, struggled to start early. And they've said that has been their main focal point this season of making sure they start fast. Don't start slow. Start fast. But with contract situations going on, especially with your best player on defense and your number one pick from this few months ago in the draft, 2025 draft, those are massive distractions for the defense, which needs a lot of help, and for the team overall. And we can't have those distractions going into week one because we need to win week one. So both of these contracts, I think both parties in both contract situations are handling them poorly. Like I said, I think Trey Hendrickson and Shemar Stewart are handling their contracts situations poorly. I think the Bengals are also handling both contract situations poorly. So let me be that clear. I'm not on anybody's side. I think everybody is handling it wrong. But it's like Orlando Brown said, it's a business. So to each their own. But anyways, these contracts need to be figured out. Like Orlando Brown said, they need to be figured out sooner rather than later, because I do not want to watch the Bengals have a slow start again, and that be the reason we missed the playoffs for a third consecutive year with a top 3, for me, top 2 quarterback in the league. We can't waste another season like Joe Burrow had last season. We cannot waste a season like that again. We cannot. Him playing like that, we should be making a run for the Super Bowl every single year. So these contracts need to be figured out right now within the next week or two, and then we can get ready for training camp and move past all this stupidness with the contracts. But thank you so much for watching this Bengals Digest channel. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe as we're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. Don't forget to turn on post notifications if you love the Bengals as much as me and my co-host Isaac. We talk about the Bengals every single day and only the Cincinnati Bengals. So, like I said, if you love the Bengals as much as we do, don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications. Like this video. Comment down below how you felt about Orlando Brown Jr.'s comments, and if you agree with me, if you think one party is handling it wrong or both. Like I said, in both situations, I think both parties are handling it wrong. But that's my opinion, and like I said, to each their own. But thank you so much for watching. For the Bengals Digest channel, I'm Carson Lokey. Have an amazing day, and God bless.